Hello, everyone, and welcome to another lecture of Teach You'll University. And in this lecture today, we're going to be discussing some concepts related to how to grow your business. And I think this is a great lecture whether you are a young entrepreneur who's just launching your startup, maybe you have an established business or you own a small business and you're just looking for ways to be able to grow your business or looking for other ways to develop new products and services. I think this is a great lecture for you. Or maybe even you're just someone who's curious about how entrepreneurship works and how businesses start and how they're successful. Again, this is a great lecture to watch. And I want to start with a quote from Jeff Bezos, who said one of the huge mistakes people make is that they try to force an interest on themselves. You don't choose your passions choose you. And I think this is such a great quote by Bezos because what he's talking about here in this quote is the common mistake many entrepreneurs make when they launch a startup or they start a business. And that is they develop a product or service without the customer in mind. They never bother to determine if what they developed, whatever that is what customers want. And this is a common mistake, and this leads to so much frustration, disappointment, loss of capital, and really causing businesses to go under because they never bothered to consider if what they developed, whatever product or service that is, if it's something that consumers want. And entrepreneurship, the way I define it, is based on developing products and services that solve problems and satisfy the needs of consumers. Now, I've seen a lot of definitions about entrepreneurship. Some I agree with, some I don't. But I think this gets to the bottom of what entrepreneurship really is. You're developing products and services that solve problems and satisfy the needs of consumers. And again, the mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs make is that they go the other direction. They develop the product and service first without doing any sort of back testing or determining or doing any sort of research or consumer research to determine if this is something that customers want or if there's a demand for their product or service. And the most famous mistake I think of this of a company that sort of developed a product without considering the customer was Segway. And Segway, for those of you who are not familiar with it, was a two-wheeled electric vehicle that came out in the early 2000s. And this was a big deal back then. The way it was marketed was that this was going to revolutionize the way we commute, especially in major cities. It was really a big deal. Unfortunately, Segway never really took off. It really struggled in sales and it just never really went anywhere, unfortunately. Even though it was a neat invention, it really just did not take off. And there's several reasons why that's the case. One is that the expectations were too high. The way it was marketed was that the Segway was just going to revolutionize the way we commute and the way we travel. I mean, it was really a big deal. They set this really high bar that unfortunately they just never were able to reach. And another problem was that it was a great invention, not an innovation. Now, notice there's a difference between invention and innovation. Anybody can invent anything, but an innovation is a product or service that can solve a particular problem or meets a consumer demand or consumer need. And unfortunately for Segway, it was a product, not a solution. It was a great product, but it was not a solution because it never defined what problem it was solving. And that is why there was no clear target market that they were able to tap into. So these are some of the big reasons why, not just why Segway failed, but why it is that many startups just never get off the ground because they may be great at inventing things or developing products, but not solutions and innovations that can make our lives easier and better. So by not taking into consideration the needs of the consumer, you will spend money, time, and energy on a product or service that never had a fighting chance in the market. So without considering the consumer when starting a business or launching a startup, you're pretty much you won't even have a fighting chance to be able to win and become profitable and keep the business going. There's a reason why so many businesses fail after a certain number of years, and this is one of the big reasons why is not considering the consumer or developing a product or service that revolves around the needs of customers. So now when it comes to business growth, there's really just three ways to grow your business. I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs and business people that make this way more complicated than it actually is. It really isn't. There's just three ways to grow your business. One is to increase your clients or customers. The second is to have your current customers purchase more of your product or service. And then the third is to have your current customers purchase higher price versions of your product or service. That's really about it. And this can relate to any business that you have, whether you're a real estate agent or you're developing a new electric battery for electric vehicles, or whether you create an online course to help people save money. Regardless of what that is, regardless of the business that you have, these are the three ways to grow your business. This can apply to any industry or field. And when looking at this, if you're a young startup, if you're just starting to launch your startup, then increasing your clients or customers is probably your top priority because you don't really have any customers that you're currently working with at the moment. So focusing on increasing your customer base is probably your top priority if you're a young startup or young business. If you're already an established business, then you can also, one way you can pivot is maybe perhaps put more of an emphasis on satisfying your current customers. And I think a lot of businesses neglect this or fail to do this. They become so obsessed with number one, increasing your clients or customers, but they don't bother to look at their current or past customers. And this is a mistake, like in one of my fields I'm in, which is in real estate. This is a mistake a lot of real estate agents make, is that they're so obsessed with working with or trying to acquire new clients, they don't stop and look at their current or past customers as a way to grow their business. So something to think about, whether you're a young entrepreneur or an established business, just some things to think about when it ways to grow your business. There's really just three ways. So designing a product or service requires observing the problems and desires that impact human beings on an everyday basis. More importantly, designing a product must take into account the emotions that drive consumers to purchase products or services similar to what you are creating. Human beings are emotional creatures. We purchase products or services not just to solve problems, but how it would make us feel. If we purchase a MacBook, yes, we purchase it because it can, whether, maybe we own a business or maybe it'll help us with work, but we purchase it because of how it makes us feel. If it makes our job easier at work, then we become less stressful. We can make more money, become more profitable. And that can, again, not only just make our lives easier, it can help us purchase other products and services that can make us happier. So it's how it makes us feel, or how the product or service can make us feel. There's these physical and psychological needs that we all need satisfying. And some of the most successful products and services help satisfy these needs. And some of the most successful products and services help solve problems. Maybe they can help you, a product or service can help you save money or make more money, or help you organize your workspace, or perhaps help you think better and improve your overall mood. There's almost an infinite number of ways in terms of how you can develop a business or product or service based on satisfying these underlying needs. And by understanding the forces that govern business growth, you can then design a product or service that meets consumer demands and create a profitable business. Market forces are extremely powerful. And if you fight the market, and I say this to my clients all the time, if you fight the market, you're going to lose every single time. You want to look at this as riding a wave. Ride a wave. Discover an underlying trend that is occurring in the marketplace, and you'll be able to do extremely well. And who did this was, in fact, Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos, back in the late 1990s, when he was asked what made him create Amazon, his response was that he discovered, when he was working in a hedge fund, that internet use was growing exponentially. And that in this trend, he discovered the ability to be able to tap into this by selling products and services online. And that's what led him to start Amazon. And I think some of the first product he sold was books. And of course, we know that the rest is history. But what Bezos did there was that he discovered a trend. He discovered one of the many underlying forces that govern business growth. And if you discover these trends and these forces, and instead of fighting them, you use them to your advantage and use them as leverage to grow your business, then the sky's the limit when it comes to business growth. So, when starting a business, some of the things you want to think about. This doesn't mean that in understanding these forces that govern business growth, you want to ignore your strengths and passions. This is where you really want to think about what you're good at. What are you good at? What do you like to do? What are your passions? And how can these passions potentially solve a problem that's out there today that needs solving? And you want to look at some of your skills. What are you good at? Maybe you're a very good writer. Maybe you're good at accounting. You can save people money. Socializing. Maybe you're very good at socializing and network and talking to people. You could be a prolific or a very good engineer. Or maybe you're a great parent. Notice how diverse these skills are. All of us have value. All of us have these hidden gifts and abilities that could be used to solve other people's problems and create a great business. So don't think that you don't have any skills. You do. You have skills, you have passions, you have strengths. Use them to your advantage. Money is all around you. There is an infinite number of ways to be able to make money and start a business. You just have to figure out what that is and narrow down what you're good at and what your skills are and how your skills can help satisfy consumer demands. Another thing too is, what is your unique selling proposition? Once you've established what you're good at, once you understand your skills and your strengths, how can you create a business around that? And what would be your unique selling proposition? Maybe, now again, these are a little bit broad, but we can be as specific and we can make this as specific and tangible as possible, which I recommend you do. Maybe you developed a software that can help small businesses grow. Maybe help them monitor their transactions. And in discussing your unique selling proposition, you could discuss the time and effort it took to making that software. Or maybe you know a sales strategy on how to increase sales of a workforce. Maybe you understand you're very good, you know how to socialize. So maybe you know certain techniques that can help a workforce increase their sales. Maybe you're great at organizing a household. You can develop a business revolving around helping people organize their household so they can be more productive. Or maybe you're a teacher and you have certain study strategies that can help students improve their grades. The sky's the limit here. But the point is that you want to make your unique selling proposition as tangible, as specific as possible. These are just some broad examples. But I want you to begin using your imagination here and get specific. Get specific what it is you can do and what makes your product or service unique. And authenticity helps here too. If you're authentic and you're genuine, then that's going to help immensely when it comes to developing your unique selling proposition. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I highly recommend you subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can watch all my YouTube videos. And I also recommend you visit my website at teachinguniversity.com, where you can view all my lectures, purchase my courses, and also you can subscribe to my email list and get the latest information related to new courses and news and events related to Teaching University. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.